Guys, quick reminder just in case you haven't listened to episode 138. I am taking a break right now to focus on my daughter's healing. And in between, I'm going to be cultivating some dope ass interviews and content to bring to you guys for season 2. So, in the meantime, check out these re releases.
Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, a safe and sacred place to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to be authentic. I am your host, Tisha Michelle. From the deep pain and loss of my best friend Gloria, I realized she gave me the greatest gift ever, remembering my purpose in life, which is to help connect you to your authentic self, guide you to remember your purpose, and remind you that your current circumstance doesn't define who you are. Join me as we heal, align, and glow together. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul. I'm your host, Tisha Michelle. So, quick announcement. So, I decided to do something a little bit different. In between recording these episodes, I want to answer you guys' questions, right, on the podcast. So I did kind of test it out and I put it up I just threw it up one time on social media, on Instagram, and I said, what more would you like to hear? Or like, I don't remember exactly how I worded it, or like what topics you want to hear about on Seeing with Your Soul podcast. And I got some good feedback and some good, questions and stuff. So I'm definitely going to be incorporating them. But I want to hear from you guys. So what more is there a topic that you want me to go even deeper on? Or is there something that's been coming up for you lately and you just have a question, or you have a question around spirituality? I would love to hear what you have to say and answer your question on here. And you can just send that to me on Instagram, at Mindset Slayer, or you can send it to me in an email, tisha@healaligneglow.com. Or if you just on Instagram, you can just click the link in the bio. But also, if you don't mind, let's go a little bit further. Record a voice memo of you asking the question or stating whatever it is that you want me to talk about or go deeper. And that way I can play that voice recording, incorporate it into this podcast, and then answer your questions. So yeah. So what you got for me? Okay. So gratitude time. In this present moment, I would say that I am grateful for the art of surrender. And I believe I talked about surrendering on one of my earlier podcasts. So there was just something that was really weighing heavy on me. And I'm not going to say it consumed me 100%, but it was really heavy, guys. It was really heavy. And this was for a few days. And then I just said, you know what? I was laying in a bed and I was just, talking to the universe. And I said, all right, okay, I'm over this. This is just being ridiculous. I've been here before, just looked a little different. And I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to stress about it anymore. I'm just not going to allow it to be so heavy. So I'm going to take this whole burden. And I was like, Source, I give it to you. And I was like, I surrender. So I just need you to do your thing. And then the next day, I kid you not, the universe delivered a beautiful gift to me. I was like, wow. So I was like, So for those few days of me feeling so heavy, all I had to do was surrender. And I know this, you know this, but it's just something that we resist, right? Something that we push against and we fight. And it's just plain ridiculous. And all we have to do is just surrender, because we don't have to go through life alone. Whether we're getting help from like someone here that's physically here, or just the spiritual realm, whether it's our ancestors, our guardian angels, our spirit guides, God, universe, the spirit, the little spirit being. Is like, we don't have to do it alone. So I'm very grateful for just even learning just the art of surrendering and getting into that place to say, you know what, I surrender, but actually mean it, and just say, I give this to you. And you gotta just sit back. And when I say sit back, doesn't mean you don't do anything. But in that case, it means that I wasn't stressing and I wasn't allowing, the world to just feel so heavy on me. I just said, okay, you know what? I'm open to receive help. And then, I mean, literally the next day, a beautiful gift was delivered by the universe. And I said, okay, thank you very much. All right, so your turn. Unless you're driving, you guys know the deal. Let's get centered. So I want you guys to close your eyes and go ahead and take a nice deep breath. And you're just going to be simply breathing in through your nose and then out through your mouth. Again, a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Nice. One more. Nice deep breath. Breathe in through your nose. And just easily let it out through your mouth. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, your turn. What are you grateful for today? In this present moment, wherever you're at, whatever time of the day, whatever mood you are in, stop and answer. What are you grateful for? Say it out loud. If you feel the urge to just really journal, go ahead and pause this podcast, grab you a piece of paper, your notebook, or whatever, back of a napkin, and just express how you feel. Express what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? Say it in your head. Who cares how you express it? Maybe you just want to jump up and down because you just feel good and you don't really even have anything to put with it other than the fact of like, yo, I just feel good. I was feeling like that recently. I want to say it was the day after the universe. Yeah, it was that morning after the universe delivered that beautiful gift to me. Just like, boom. I was like, yo, I'm in a good mood. And I was like, I just feel good. And you could say like, oh, I felt good because that gift was given to me. But I want to say it just goes deeper. It was just like, man, I have so much power. Man, I have so much power. Man, I'm a magical being. And this shit feels great. It feels good. So again, what are you grateful for? Just like express, express, express. Yes. Okay, so question time. Here's my question to you guys. What have you been ignoring lately? Like seriously, what have you been ignoring lately? Have you ever heard someone say, yo, I don't even know what happened. It just came out of the blue. Or maybe you're the person who just said like, I don't know what happened. It just all of a sudden this happened. Like it just came out of the blue. Like what the hell? Well, spoiler alert, nothing ever comes out of the blue. There's always a sign. There's always a symptom. There's always a red flag. We just choose to ignore it or we just choose not to see it, right? So it's kind of like if you were in a relationship, right? And you find out that he or she, cheated on you. And now you're like devastated and you're feeling like the world is like over and like, how could you do this to me? And I'm so stupid. How did I not see this coming? You did. You did see it coming. You felt it, right? You felt it. You felt it in your stomach. You felt like something was off, right? And what happened was most of the time we allowed someone, him or, her to make us, feel like you are crazy. Right? Like you're bugging, like you can't trust yourself. And remember, and you guys, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know I always share this, like we got to trust our intuition because our intuition is ahead of the game. Our intuition doesn't make any logical sense at all, which is why, I don't want to just say this as women. It's just that women, we just like tend to practice and what they say that women's intuition is intuition, period. Whether you're a woman or you're a man, doesn't matter the gender. We just tend to roll with that more, but we get that feeling in our stomach that just something is just off. We don't have shit to prove. We don't have nothing to prove it. We just feel like something is just off. And even if they didn't cheat, but it's just like the relationship, falls apart and, you guys are breaking up and you're like, yo, they just blindsided me. Like, no one blindsided you. There were red flags. There were signs. There was. And even if it was just you feeling like something was off, it was there. But again, we choose to ignore it or you choose to just not see it, right? And you'll allow someone to make you feel like you're crazy. Like, no, you're bugging. no, that's not the case. But because you want to not believe that something is off in this relationship, you just go with that flow. And then when everything comes crumbling down, you're like, well, how did this happen? How did we get, well, here's a famous line. How did we get here? You know goddamn well how you got there. You know how you got there. The signs were there. The red flags were there. You just chose to ignore it, right? And it's not, and I don't want to just dump, this is just an example, right? It's not all just about relationships. I mean, it could be friendships, right? It could be a friend. It could be your friend. Then you guys have a big fallout, right? And then you're like, yo, everything was good. And then just all of a sudden, it's no, all of a sudden, you've seen some of the shadiness. You've seen some of the distancing. You've seen, when you were super excited about something and they just got quiet. They didn't share in that same excitement. And the thing is that not everybody is going to be like as excited about something that you did like you are, because that's your baby, right? But the thing is when you have friends and they like rocking with you and they genuinely like care about you, they're going to be excited too. They're going to be hyped too. They might not be as hyped as you because it hits differently for you, but they're going to still like express that, So then when you stop, you're talking to them about something and then they're like shooting everything down and being super negative. And you're like, I don't know what happened. Maybe she's in a bad mood. And so, nah, you've been seeing, how she or he was, acting lately or being very distant or just saying little smart things and saying like, oh, I'm just playing. But in actuality, they were really expressing how they were feeling. So again, those signs were there. How about our health? Oh my God, ding, ding, ding. Another one of them, right? The symptoms are there. We get the warning. That is what our body was designed to do, right? To let us know when something's not in alignment. So you were having pains, right? Or maybe you were using the bathroom a lot more, but then you checked it off to, well, I have been drinking a lot more, right? I didn't increase my water, and then you just keep going. And then, you've been having some pains maybe in your back or on your side or something. But again, you're writing it off to something else. So like, oh, it's no big deal. And then all of a sudden you're in the hospital and you have some kidney problems or you're in kidney failure. And you're like, how did I not see this coming? What the hell? You did. The symptoms were there. You chose to ignore them. Why? Because you're so busy. Right? Or you were so caught up, or you diagnosed yourself, right? Because we're all doctors, right? Especially since we have Google, right? You wrote it off to being something else. Oh, well, there's no way that could happen. Well, I don't have any time for this. And then you're like, how the hell am I in kidney failure? What the fuck? How did it just happen all of a sudden? It never, ever, nothing ever happens out of the blue, guys. Nothing. We ignore the signs. We ignore the red flags. We ignore the symptoms. It could even be in your business, right? You're ignoring things in your business. It'll be something that you're looking to do in your business and you keep pushing, and you keep getting the resistance, right? And there's a difference between overcoming obstacles and challenges, right? It's really more of like when you're trying something and it's just like not where you keep everything that you do, you keep getting this resistance, right? But then you keep pushing. Then all of a sudden it just blows up in your face and you're like, what the hell happened? Like, why is this going on? You were getting the resistance. But you just insisted on pushing. And then now shit is spiraling out of control, right? Or how about when you get, let's not even look at it like that. Like you get an idea, something to do in your business, right? Something different. Right. And you're getting like, you keep hearing people talk about this or maybe it's a word or whatever the case may be in your business. And you're like, yeah, I should try that. That might be a good addition or something to do. No one's really doing that. And that'll be a great way to separate me. Right. And then all of a sudden you're, whatever it is that you were thinking of doing, you hear it on TV and you're like, yo, that's a coincidence. I was just thinking about it. That's funny. Right. But you keep ignoring it. And then all of a sudden somebody else is doing this. And you're like, what? Yo, that's crazy. That was my idea. Like, look at that big coincidence. It's like all of a sudden now another company is doing something that it's no all of a sudden. The little spiritual beings was whispering that shit in your ear, telling you to go ahead and do this and separate yourself. This is the gift. This is the answer to the prayer that you were asking about in your business. But guess what? You brushed it off. You ignored it. Why? because also no one else had done it. So maybe there was that fear of you, oh, God forbid if you would ever be innovative, right? Because there was no proof that it would work. But yet you were still thinking like, I should do this, I should do this, I should do this. And then no. So my, my sister in New York, like, with her lounge, one thing that she wanted to do was she wanted to start doing takeout. And she wanted to start offering takeout just as another option and also another stream of income, right? So she has a dope ass lounge in New York, Cove Lounge. If you're ever in New York, go to the Cove. And, she had thought about that, before doing that. And for whatever reason, she just never got around to it. And then COVID hit. And what were they doing? They were allowing places to do takeout, because you got like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Postmates and stuff like that. And she was kicking herself in the butt. She was like, yo, this is just pushing me now to do what I've been wanting to do and just never did it, right? Right. So it goes even on that instance, too. So it doesn't have to be like something, and I'm doing air quotes over here, guys, like negative. We get these ideas and we get these nudges and we choose to ignore them. And then something happens. So even in that sense, it's like, our intuition, our spirit guides knows what's getting ready to come, knows it's ahead of the game, knows that there's going to be, this disruptive energy, aka COVID, that hits. So, for her, using her as an example, she was getting those nudges to start doing takeout, because then it would have already been in place and she wouldn't have had to do anything different because she was already doing it. Right. But we get them, but we ignore them. We ignore those signs, those symptoms, those red flags. And then we'd be like, damn, yo, how this shit happen? How this happened? Right. Probably about a month ago, I was leaving out of Walmart and I was getting ready to go to another store. And I was on the phone with someone and we're just talking and I hear this noise and it's like, what the hell is that? It's, is it, then I instantly said like, oh, it's the street. It's the ground. That's what this noise is. And that's why it sounds like so rough or whatever. And then I heard it a little bit stronger. And then something in me said, pull over right here. So I pull over. And then as soon as I pull over, I was like, I don't think it's nothing wrong with the tire because I didn't feel it. It just sounded weird. And then something said pull over. So I get out of the car and I was like, all right, let me just entertain myself and just look around the car just so I can make myself feel better. So I walk around the car and my tire's flat. I said, oh, well, alrighty then. This is interesting. And I just got back in the car. And then I just Googled a tire place or whatever. And it's not a tire place, a tow place. And I just called them and I said, okay, I have a flat and I need you to come put the spare on for me. And that was that. And I just sat there and I just like waited and I started laughing and I said, I'm so glad that I listened to myself and I pulled over. Had I had not pulled over, I would have been going faster and my son was in the car. My youngest was in the car. And if that tire would have blew out with me going faster, that could have been really dangerous. Right. But have I always been there in that sense? No. I've heard noises plenty of times, like throughout my life in the car, and I chose to ignore it and I chucked it off as like, oh, it's the street or it's this. And then something happened with the car. Right. Or I've just felt off about something there. Oh, how did I forget this part? So prior to, damn, how did I forget this part? I'd be bugging. Okay, so the night before that happened with the car, I was sitting, I guess I was just got into bed and I just laid down. And as soon as I laid down, I heard, you're going to get in a car accident. And out loud, I said, who? All right, so guys, so if you've ever heard me talk about it or work with me, I've always expressed that, part of my gift is like, I hear things, I see things, I feel things, and sometimes I just know. So there's different ways that I connect with, the other realm. I'm doing air quotes over here. And things get to me. So whenever I'm like, especially that in between sleep stage, like I'm getting ready to go to sleep or, getting ready to wake up, like I'll just I'll hear something. And that's when I get the best info ever. So as I'm laying down to go to sleep, I hear you're going to get in a car accident. And I'm like, who? Literally say out loud, who? And that was it. And I was like, nah, I'm bugging. Again, I just brushed it off. Even though I know that's when I get my stuff the clearest, is in that stage. So the next day when that happened with that noise that I was hearing, and then I had that feeling that said, pull over. And when I pulled over, it was the way the road is, you go probably about a good, almost a mile before you can even turn into anything. I mean, I'm in Arizona, a lot of dirt, right? But right when I turned over, had I not turned into the little parking lot that led to like a little hotel that's there, I would have been driving almost a mile without being able to pull over. So I would have had to get up until I got to like the main street and be able to dip into a store parking lot or something. So when I was sitting there and I had called the tow people and stuff, that's what popped in my head. What I'd heard the day before was that you were going to get in a car accident. So again, we get the signs, right? But again, there was nothing logical about that. I was going to sleep, right? So you just kind of brush it off at times and stuff. But yeah, again, nothing happens out of the blue. So my tire going off didn't happen out of the blue. I got a sign the day before that I was going to get in a car accident, right? I heard something on my while I was driving. I brushed it off the first time, drove up a little bit more. And then as I heard it again, and that feeling, and then I heard, pull over, I did listen. Had I not listened, I would have gotten in a car accident. No doubt about it. The way the road was, and the speed I would have been going on there it was like 50 or something. I would have gotten into an accident. So again, when we choose to ignore things, this is when, air quotes again, bad things happen, or we're not prepared for something because we're ignoring, right? Now this, happened again in all different areas in our life, but I've said this numerous times, like, oh, I don't know how the hell this shit happened. Like, yo, or I'll say something like, yo, I didn't see that one coming. What the hell? Or I hear people saying it was like, nah, yes, I did. And yes, your ass did too, right? So really think about it. What have you been ignoring lately? Have you been ignoring red flags in relationships in your life, partnerships, right? Or, I've had someone say like, they've had a partner that was stealing from them. And they were like, it just came out of the blue. Like I trusted this person and yada, yada, this and that. But then when they started thinking, they're like, well, I thought something was off here. But again, I'm not really sure. I can't 100% say it. Oh my gosh, how many times have you ever been in that? Be like, I thought something, but because I wasn't able to 100, I wasn't really sure 100%. Like, come on now, right? So, whether it is, are you ignoring your health? Are you ignoring your health? So speaking of health, I don't really roll with doctors. I don't have anything against doctors. I really have something against taking medicine, right? That's my whole thing, is like taking prescription stuff. So, one of my homeboys keeps asking me about my shoulder. Like, how's your shoulder? I'm like, that shit still fucking hurts. It like hurts really bad. He's like, you still ain't take no meds? I'm like, no. So the only meds that I had was when I had the surgery, whatever they gave me. And I told them, I know they gave me some, I can't remember what it was that they gave me, but this is what there. But after that, when I got home, the first day that I was released, I took a Tylenol. And after that the 2 Tylenols that I had, I haven't taken anything, any type of medicine for the pain. I've just been thugging it out. Like, I just don't like to put that stuff in my body. It's my only body. This is my temple. This is what I got, right, to rock with. And I don't want to just consume it with medicine, but that's just for me. So I really don't rock too much with doctors. And then I built really good relationships with doctors, with my doctors, and then one of them, I think I talked about this on a podcast before, like he decided to just break up with me and move to freaking Florida. Like, how dare his ass, right? And send me a letter. So I haven't had a primary since then. And, all these different things that were, I was diagnosed with, like the lupus. At one point I had high blood pressure. And then I just stopped buying into that story and was just like, no, I don't have any of that shit. And I've just been fine, right? So anyway, probably now this has been going on for the past 2 months, right? But it just started picking up a little more, where I would do this thing, like I kind of gasp for air. and you'd have to see me to like do it so you could understand what I'm saying. But I guess the best way to say, like, I gasp for air, and it's real quick, and it's nothing particular that I'm doing. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm running and then it happens, or I'm talking and then it happens. But it's happened before when I was just sitting on the couch. I was at my friend's house and we were just sitting there watching TV, and then I just did it. And then, or I could just be having a conversation. Like right now, I could just be talking with you guys, and all of a sudden I just do this thing where it's like I gasp for air. Well, it started picking up the past 2 weeks, and I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, yo, I got to go get this checked out, right? Because I don't want to ignore it, because I know that our body does exactly what it was designed to do, to let us know when we're not in alignment in an area and where something is happening. That's not, air quotes again, that's not normal to be doing that. So when I was sitting with myself and that, I kept hearing heart and lungs. And I was like, oh, okay. But I'm not going to get on Google and diagnose myself, because I would have gave myself all types of cancers in all different areas and unnecessary stress and everything. But what I am going to do is I'm not going to ignore these symptoms of whatever the bigger thing is. And I'm going to trust my body and trust what I'm getting, and just say, you know what, let me head over to a doctor. But which the cool thing about it is that because of that, it forced me to get a primary out here in Arizona, because I don't have anything. I don't have no dentist here, don't have no physical therapist, nothing. Everything was still tied into Virginia as I go back and stuff. But it forced me to get on the ball and get all those appointments and stuff. So I went to see a primary. And she's great. So she was like, look, let's just do a full workup of blood. Now, mind you, so I've been here for a year, 2 years, probably like it stopped about 2.5 years ago because of the lupus, and, have my rheumatologist and everything. They would always do like a complete workup of blood for me, just to check like my inflammation markers and all those different ANA and all those different things. But I hadn't gotten that in a long time, because remember, I was like, I'm good. I ain't buying into that shit. So it was cool. She was like, let's just rule out a bunch of things and just be able to, so she ordered all the blood work and stuff. And then she was like, oh, it's time for you to get a mammogram. I said, wait, what? I was like, oh shit, I am 40, right? So before I would have kind of freaked out about that. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. And it made me laugh and it made me smile, because I am getting older and I am honored and I am blessed to be able to be in that space, right? So saying all that to say, there was something that was showing up for me that was a symptom. And I chose, I'm not going to front. I ignored it for a little bit, right? That's why here it is like 2.5 months later, I'm just getting it checked out. And, but then I was like, I don't want to ignore this anymore, because I know nothing comes out of the blue. I end up in the damn hospital for some damn heart failure. I'm like, how the hell did this happen? Oh, hell no, that's not going to be my story. That's not going to be a podcast that I'm going to be sitting there talking about and sharing with you guys, because I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to ignore that symptom. And I want to catch it before it turns into something bigger than just the gasping for air, the quickness of that. Because I know that we always get a sign. We always get a symptom. We always get a red flag. Always, 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 always. It just does not come out of it. There's just something. And when something happens and you even start to feel like this just happened out of the blue, step back. Take some deep breaths. Step back and you'll see where you chose to ignore something, right? No, you chose to ignore it. And the beauty in that and choosing to ignore it is that we have free will and we can do whatever the hell we want to do. So if we want to just ignore the shit and just justify it, or let people, that's a big one, allowing people to make us feel like we're crazy or we made that up. Oh, not to say that we don't be making some shit up, because we some dope ass fucking storytellers. We make a story up in our head. Right? But typically that's really just like about us. But yeah, we'll just ignore them. So I just wanted to ask you guys that question. Like, what have you been ignoring lately? As I say that and as I ask you that, what's coming to mind? What's popping up for you? How have you been feeling lately? Like, seriously. How have you been feeling? When was the last time you checked in with yourself? Like, when was the last time you literally just sat there, put your one hand on your heart and one hand on your tummy and really just breathe? Really just breathe. Matter of fact, do it now. Place one hand over your heart and the other one on your stomach and just take a couple of deep breaths, and, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just asking yourself, what do I need? How do I feel? What have I been ignoring lately? You'll be so, so surprised at the response you get, the way your body reacts. Something pops in your head. Maybe you start crying. Maybe that's what you've been ignoring lately, your emotions, your feelings. You've just been chucking them up to just say like, oh, I got to put my big girl pants on. I got to put my big boy pants on. And I got to just ignore this. But what you really need to do is pay attention to those emotions and those feelings and release them. And even if that releasing is through shedding tears, beautiful. Has there been like some unspoken, I don't know if it's an unspoken energy, but some underlining energy or a feeling that you've been having with your significant other, your children, parents, your friends, your partner? Is there something that you've been like feeling off? Things have just really been feeling off, making you feel uncomfortable, but you're just trying to justify it in your head and just like ignore that feeling and hoping that it'll go away. What is that? Maybe it's time to have a conversation with someone. But most importantly, maybe it's time for you to have a conversation with yourself, right? And stop ignoring your feelings. Or maybe you have this idea that keeps popping up and you're just choosing to ignore that as well out of fear. How about you just give that a little bit of energy and stop ignoring that idea and really see where that could lead you? See, a lot of times we pray and ask for things, but we expect it to come in one particular way, but it's actually coming in another way, right? What are you also resisting? What are you resisting in your life? So yeah. So that's what I have for you guys today. What have you been ignoring lately? Because now just may be the time for you to start paying more attention. Thanks for tuning in to #Certified. If anything resonated with you, I would love to continue the conversation. You can follow me on Instagram at @ItIsTisha. And if you want to be a part of the #Certified tribe, you can join my Facebook group by going to the search tab and putting in #Certified. My website is conversationswithtisha.com. As always, have a great one on purpose. Love you.